Continuing on with my list of my top 30 favorite movies, we've looked at a lot of classic films, these first 6 movies that we've looked at on the list here, so how about a more recent film? And actually the next 2 are actually recent films that have come out within the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, but these are movies that really had such a lasting impact on me that I had no choice but to put them on the list. And at number 24 on the list, David O. Russell's The Silver Linings Playbook, with Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, Jackie Weaver, Chris Tucker, and once again, like I said, David O. Russell directed this. Now, first glances, this looks like your typical romantic comedy. 2 unlikely people meet. They don't look like they could be a couple, but as the film progresses, both realize that maybe they might be perfect for each other. Something will happen that causes them to split for a little bit before they settle their differences at the end, and they live happily ever after. And the movie sort of does that, but it does it more creatively, and it doesn't quite fall into the typical romantic comedy territory, and it steers clear away from the typical stereotypes of a really bad romantic comedy. So, basically the story is that you have this guy, Pat Solitano, played by Bradley Cooper, who's a man with bipolar disorder who's released from a psychiatric hospital and moves back in with his parents, played by Robert De Niro and Jackie Weaver. Determined to win back his estranged wife, Pat meets recently widowed Tiffany Maxwell, played by Jennifer Lawrence, who's going through her own relationship problems. She tells Pat that she will help him get back with his wife if he enters a dance competition with her, and the two become closer as they train, and Pat, his father, and Tiffany examine the relationship with each other as they cope with their disorders. This is based off of a book by Matthew Quick, and for the most part, it sticks with a lot of what's in the book, and honestly, this is one of my favorite romantic comedies ever. I mean, this is a romantic comedy that doesn't play by the books. It doesn't play to the lowest common denominator. It doesn't resort to any pathetic attempts to get a laugh, nor does it have to be, completely sexist against men or women. It's a genuine romantic comedy that actually adds in elements of drama to it and takes chances with it. I mean, it's a really unique type of film. A great cast overall here. They were all perfectly chosen for these roles. They play the roles so well, each of them given. Everybody here is very believable, and at some point, I've met people like this in this film, and I'm pretty sure you have too. You got Bradley Cooper, who really showed what he could be as an actor with this film. I know he'd done a couple of other movies beforehand, but this was the movie that made people realize that, hey, Bradley Cooper may actually become one of our great actors working right now, and sure enough, that's what he's become, man. He's become that figure that has been nominated for so many Academy Awards. Like, you have to figure one of these times he's going to get it, and he's very good in this movie. It's this guy who's just trying to fit back into the world after being in a mental institution for 8 months. Robert De Niro is great as his father, who's an Eagles fanatic to the point where he has these thoughts that if something doesn't happen the right way, or when Pat and Tiffany aren't together, that's why the Eagles lose the game. And honestly, I think any big sports fan can relate to that. Every sports fan can relate to that type of a character. I can relate to him. I mean, I watched a Steeler game, and I feel the exact same way that De Niro's character does in this movie. Unless the right elements are there, I feel like something is always going to happen that they'll lose the game. Like, that's a character that, honestly, I can personally relate to in a number of ways. But Jackie Weaver, fantastic actress in Animal Kingdom. She's the best I've ever seen her in this movie as Cooper's mom. She's really great in here. Chris Tucker really shows that he's not just a comedic, crazy, insane person like we've seen in the Friday movies, the Rush Hour movies, The Fifth Element. He's being very sincere, and he's pretty good at a pretty much straightforward, a straight character performance. I mean, we've seen him do these type of dramatic roles as of late. He was great in the movie Air recently, and this is one of the first films I saw him in. It was just like, this guy's actually a really damn good actor, man. But the real highlight of the movie is Jennifer Lawrence. My God, she's incredible in this. She's given her all in this film. I mean, The Hunger Games came out before this, and she was a good... I think a lot of people could tell that she was a good actress from that, as well as some of the films she did before that, The Beaver, Winter's Bone. But here, she really does shine and moves up from being just a good actress to a great one. She's so good in the movie, and her chemistry with Bradley Cooper is one of the best chemistries I've seen in a romantic comedy ever. She really is the main thing that keeps the movie flowing. Her performance is so realistic, it feels like the strongest performance I've ever seen her in, and she rightfully deserved an Academy Award nomination and the award. It's one of the few times the Oscars actually got something right on that. And, for David O. Russell, who despite his consistent onset meltdowns, has made a ton of great movies. Three Kings, The Fighter. This is probably his best film as a director overall. I love this movie so much. Silver Linings Playbook, it's a romantic comedy that doesn't resort to the same old cliches we've seen over and over again. it does what a good romantic comedy should do. Show up the building relationships of this couple, be creative with it, about how the world looks at them and how they get together. It does all that and then some. And just because of how powerful the chemistry between these two leads are in the movie is so well done. It's the perfect example of how every romantic comedy should be. Not offensive, not sexist, just right. This movie does all that and then some. I really love this movie. Silver Linings Playbook, my 24th favorite film of all time. So, that's number 24 on the list. Next week, we look at number 23. And if you want to see some of the other movies I've talked about, the playlist is down below. So is the other video, the most recent video I did. So check those out. I'll see you guys next week. So until then, take care.